Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to WyomingLive.tv. I'm Paul Montoya. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday. Beautiful day outside around most of our state today, and things may be starting to change. You know, we started this broadcast originally probably more because of the COVID-19 situation to kind of gather communities together and have a discussion around the state about how everybody's handling everything. Today we've got a series of guests and we're going to be talking about openings. We're getting closer now that Memorial Day has passed to a lot of businesses, a lot of locations beginning to open again. Some it's going to be a little tougher. It looks like, you know, we've talked about it before, a lot of our concert season is probably not going to happen this year, either indoor or even a lot of the live festivals because of concerns of just large groups together. In just a moment, we're going to talk to someone that heads up one of our most popular and largest museums in the state, Peter Seibert, and we'll be talking to him about what their plans are. We do invite you to join in the discussion. We are, as you know, live on Facebook with Facebook Live right now, and this will be archived on Facebook and also on our YouTube channel if you just go to WyomingLive.tv. So if you happen to catch this, but you know somebody that was hoping to catch it live but can't, they can do that there. Also, you can join in our discussion. We've got the comments available here. If you have a question for any of our guests today, be sure to pipe in and we'll get those questions answered for you on WyomingLive.tv. Let's go ahead and bring in our guests that we have today. Let's see if we can make this happen. Peter, we have to there we go. Whoops, except we got the wrong lower third for you there. Let's get the right information here. It's always fun live TV. There we go. Peter Seibert with us, who is the CEO of the Buffalo Bill Center of the West Museum. A lot of folks around the state have been to this museum before. It's a great location to visit if you haven't been there before. Welcome, Peter.
Good morning, Paul. How you doing?
Good. And everybody is well in your household?
Everybody is doing great. 4 dogs, 2 daughters, and a partridge in a pear tree.
That's great. Well, I don't think Park County has had quite the hit that many other places have had with COVID-19. I know here in Albany County, where we're located, there was a warning that was kind of put out. It seems like after graduation, all of a sudden, we had a little bit of a spike here in Albany County. Fremont County still going through some difficult situations. Where is Park County right now as far as COVID-19? Do you know?
Knock on wood, Park County has been very, very fortunate in all of this. We've had, since the beginning, only 2 reported cases. The one case, the most recent, I just saw in the paper was in the hospital. Hopefully that person will be okay. The other one had recovered some time ago. So we've been very, very much blessed by not having a lot of cases. We've got a great county health officer here who's been wonderful to work with, and I think really caught it very quickly. And as a result, you know, we have not had the same issues that particularly folks down around Wind River and elsewhere or over in Jackson have had.
Yeah. That's great. Well, and you are you're a gateway also to Yellowstone, so I know it's something that really Cody has to kind of keep tabs on. Have you noticed an influx of visitors just looking around, people heading to Yellowstone?
We have. I mean, you know, as you know, the park opened the Wyoming entrances, which is the east gate here in Cody, and then down at the south at Jackson, and we've seen every day an uptick in the number of people coming in. Our first couple days, it was maybe 20, 25 people. And then, you know, over the weekend, we grew to several hundred. We're not anywhere near what we would be in a normal season, but we have definitely seen an uptick. And these are folks, in a lot of cases, who made plans to come to Yellowstone months ago and really didn't want to cancel out on their planning. The other thing that's been interesting is about half our visitation has been locals who are coming in. I suspect cabin fever gets the best of all of us. And so a chance to come to the museum is always a welcome opportunity.
Well, I know we've been talking to a lot of people in leadership around the state. We talked to the mayor in Cheyenne a couple of weeks ago. We'll be talking to the mayor of Gillette next week, trying to get a feel for how openings and how everything has been affected there. I imagine in Park County, most of the restaurants are opened, at least on a limited basis.
That's correct. Most of the restaurants are open. In fact, we ate out for the first time in what seemed to be about 4 months the other evening as a family. The hotels are open. You know, tourism is a lifeblood to this community, and
Right.
it's been that way for 100 years. And so it was important for this town to, once we were sure that things were stable here, to be able to reopen in some capacity. But I think everyone takes it very, very seriously. We put into place a lot of protocols about how we're cleaning the building, making sure that our visitors have access to everything from masks to sanitizer, to seeing our cleaning staff who are out wiping down doors every few moments, because we want the visitors who are coming in to know that we take this very seriously.
So now, have you been able to reopen to the public there?
Yes, we've been open for about 2.5 weeks.
Is that right? Now, I am not aware that that's happening in a lot of other counties around the state. I haven't talked to anybody at the Old West Museum in Cheyenne or the Pioneer Museum in Lander. Do you know if other museums are also opening around the state right now?
I've had some conversations with a lot of my colleagues in other parts of the state who were looking to see how we were able to reopen the museum, what we put into play in terms of health safeguards, and how we worked with our county health inspector to ensure that we were really covering all our bases, and they were looking to do the same thing. In the case here, we had been very closely working with our health officer to make sure that everything we could do, we were not just meeting that bar, but we were exceeding it, and then going one extra step in terms of making sure the museum was in really great shape for our visitors. And I've talked to colleagues in other parts of the state. Some are opening on a limited basis. Others are opening up fully. For us, because our season is very narrow, we are so closely tied to Yellowstone, it's been very important for us to be open concurrent with their reopening.
Well, and I imagine because your facility is probably one of the largest in the state for a museum, it's very sprawling, that you're able to keep people a little bit more socially distanced there, aren't you?
That's exactly right. I mean, we're 7 football fields in size within the building, and that is substantial. Our capacity is gigantic here. So even when I say a few hundred people, you could come in with that number of people in here and probably not see anybody unless you went looking for them, because it is such a sprawling building. It's like the hub of a wheel where you've got each of the museums being a different spoke. And so it's so big that people can really, really spread themselves out. We've limited a number of things that we have done in the past. Things like tours of the building we're not offering any longer, mostly, again, because it's very hard to keep people at that 6 foot or greater distance. But almost everything else that people are used to seeing, they'll be able to see here.
Are you requiring masks of either visitors or for your staff? Right.
We make them optional to them, but when working with the county health officer, that was what we agreed that was probably the best course at this point. Here in Cody, it's not required of any other than, I believe, in the restaurants.
Well, for those that haven't been to the Buffalo Bill Center of the West, I have a little video that you all produced a couple years ago. This will give you a little bit of an idea of what it's really about. Let's take a look at that real quick.
Sunrise in my eyes, just like a new day, a breath of fresh air in my life. I don't know how, don't know why, but I'll be toasting all my life. My boots and briefcase are waiting at the door. My ride sweeter to meet the one I love. I don't know how, don't know why, but I'll be toasting all my life. Oh, it's sweeter the first time around. Oh, it's sweeter the time here and now. Oh, it's sweeter the first time around. Oh, it's sweeter the time here and now. I play the dice right and let the good times roll. One me and one ring, forever it's our show. I don't know how and don't know why, but I'll be toasting all my life.
Isn't that great? Gotta love
That's
it.
a great video, but to even just see the museum in person is phenomenal. It's the probably one of the best museum tours that I've taken in a very long time. We spent, I don't know, we got there when it opened, and I think we left when it closed. We were there all day. Had
That's
lunch.
what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Had lunch, went out to the chuck wagon, had a little bit of some beans and sourdough bread or biscuits, sourdough biscuits, and
That's right.
Just
at the covered wagon
out
out
of the
front.
covered
Yeah.
wagon out front. So that was, and they even shared their recipes.
It's quite
which
an
was
experience.
fun.
Yeah, it's quite an experience. Peter, you were talking about a saddle shop exhibition. Exhibition.
Exhibition.
Exhibition.
Exposition, you name it, we got it all covered. This is something brand new here at the museum we've been working on for about a year. And one of the things I think it's important that, people will come into the museum and they'll see a lot of things under glass or behind in a case, and kind of miss the fact that these were made and used by real living people. And so we're starting a program here of living history, a little bit different than most living history programs in the sense that it really has two missions. One is to have our visitors see a traditional trade being practiced, but then also it's to preserve that trade. So we have a master saddle maker who, Keith Seidel, and many people know Keith. He was named a state treasurer last year in terms of being a skilled worker with his hands. And Keith has come in and we've created a 1920s saddle shop, and it is perfect down to the detail of what was in a 1920s saddle shop. But then what we're doing is we're bringing apprentices in, and it's a 6-year program to learn traditional hand-making saddle work, because this was one of the great industries here in Wyoming. It's kind of disappeared, and there have been a lot of people who've been self-taught, but here's a case where we're actually, in addition to showing people what saddle making was like in a historical context, you're actually, then we have people who are then building a career learning how to build saddles. So it's going to keep that tradition alive for the future. And, you know, you mentioned earlier about spending the day. Well, that's the cool part of this. So you can come in and spend your time seeing the shop and, hey, maybe come back this afternoon and learn how to do some of that work yourself. So it'll also be, once we're a little bit further past COVID, that people can take classes, we'll be able to offer that as well.
Well, kind of like the chuck wagon, it's kind of a living part of the museum that way. Where's it located on the property?
It actually is inside. When you walk in the front door, you will see it right there on the right. We've been, in fact, if you hear some banging in the background, you'll hear that, the sound. That's the construction crews. We lost a couple of weeks with COVID, but it is back on schedule, and by mid-June we should be fully up and operational with Keith and his 3 apprentices. And as part of your ticket, you come in and spend all day, in fact, watching these guys build saddles, which is, you know, I think we take for granted things like saddle making, or you go to a store and you buy a saddle, okay, but how was it made? Right. What went into that? What is the safety features for you, the rider, or for the horse? And all of that is part and parcel of this. So it's a pretty cool story. We redid our museum store and we redid our lobby. And, of course, we added the saddle shop. So if you haven't been to see us in a while, when you walk in the front door, it's going to be a different-looking museum.
Well, and it seems like we've heard with COVID-19 going on, we have heard that there's going to be a lot more staycations, a lot more, you know, just short distance travel,
Wyoming,
and people from, you know, Wyoming. So this is a great opportunity for people to take a good long weekend and go up and see the museum. Absolutely.
It's a great opportunity. And the thing is, you know, people get the mistaken notion that, you know, museums never change. You know, the old adage was museums and cemeteries are the only 2 things that never get redeveloped. And that's probably true about cemeteries, but museums do change. And we've got a lot of cool things. And if you came here, you know, 5 years ago or 15 or 20 years ago, to be able to come back now, I pretty much can guarantee you're going to see and be able to do things that you've never done before. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
It really is. Now, as CEO of the museum, you're also responsible for the financial well-being of the museum. How hard is all of this hitting the museum this year, and what steps are you taking to try to keep pace with the expenses and so forth?
Sure. You know, like a lot of organizations, we're a charity. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And we rely upon the generosity of people who donate to the museum, or who buy a ticket, or who spend money in the store, or people who have passed away and left us money, and that becomes part of our endowment. Right. And, you know, this has been a crisis for all charities in this country, whether it's music or theater or health and human services or a museum, as to how you weather this crisis. You know, for us, it was a commitment that we were not going to lay anybody off, and we did not. Right. We kept ourselves fully staffed even when we were shut down and could not be in the building for, you know, almost 2 months. We were able to keep the staff on payroll, and that was a commitment that we wanted to make to our team, to the community, to the state, that we didn't want to contribute to those unemployment numbers that are so horrific. And that's also meant that, you know, we've reached out to our donors and said, hey, you know, can you help us? And what I'm so pleased to say is that they have stepped up to the plate. You know, the people who have annual support have renewed, and they've renewed right away. They haven't put it in that box for a couple months down the road. They've renewed their support quickly. And that a lot of our traditional donors have made 5-figure gifts just to ensure that we can get through, you know, this really difficult time period. What's been fascinating is that when people come into the museum, traditionally maybe we'll sell a handful of memberships in a day, not more than that, because a lot of them are tourists, and they go, why should I buy a membership? I won't ever come back to Cody again. Right. You know, the heck with that. What we've seen is among the tourists or the locals, they're buying memberships here at a record rate. which tells me they really do want to support the museum, and they see that support is not just about coming back and getting free admission, but that what they've seen is of value to them, and they want to invest in that. So, we're hopeful, like I think everybody else is, that we'll recover part of our tourist season, which will put us in a good shape for the rest of the year. But the challenge is that this is a crapshoot. We could be closed down tomorrow if there is a blossoming of cases.
Right.
We could be closed down the 1st of September. We could be closed, at any point because, the health and safety of our staff and the guests is at peril, and we shut. Right. And we would do that, but that definitely does impact the bottom line. So, we've cut, we're not filling positions that are opening up. We're holding on those. We're tightening our belt every way we can. And we're really hoping that we're either going to see that vaccine or that cure that keeps people from passing away. You catch this, or, some degree of stability and normalcy that we can get back to. And the tourists will want to, pick back up and come on into the museum in the numbers that we're used to seeing. We're used to seeing 150, 160, 170,000 people a year. I think we're not going to come anywhere near that, but I'd also hopefully it's not going to be zero either.
Well, and too, there's a lot of Wyoming nights that haven't seen the museum. Right. We've been here since late 94, and really last year was my first time to have a chance and a time to go up and see it. So hopefully you're even seeing some new faces that have been here for call Wyoming home and haven't made it up to Cody to see the museum.
Right.
That's exactly right, and that's why we want to encourage folks. The saddle shop is going to be a lot of fun to stand there and talk about this. And if you grew up in Wyoming, you know the importance of horses and saddles. And this is a great chance to have and to experience and to take your kids to come and see it in a very traditional way. Mm-hmm. So, and the Raptor programs we continue to offer. So, come face to face with Jay, the eagle. Those programs are outdoors. So there's social distancing is very easy. You're not up against your fellow man. You're many feet away from them. So a lot of those things, which are just great fun for the family. And we always, we have it set up that it's a 2-day ticket, because what we've discovered is people come here and by the end of that day, they've only done half the building. Yeah. We better come back tomorrow and, check out the rest.
Well, you do want to stop and read every little thing.
There's a lot of information.
And even the firearm collection. We were walking through and I saw somebody open a drawer and there's another hole, and these little islands have drawers, and I'm going, I don't know. I didn't realize that there were so many. So I'm glad that you guys do the 2-day ticket. Yeah. We almost figured that it was going to be 2 days for us, but we
ran through it.
We went through it. We didn't run through it.
We went quickly. We went quickly. Yeah, and I'm sure there's a little bit less we could easily go through it again.
Yeah, so that's why I said a nice long weekend. Take a trip up there and enjoy the museum.
Well, I'll tell you, Peter, there's a lot of incredible museums in the state of Wyoming. I mean, for a state as low population as Wyoming, we've got some great museums all around the state. Mm-hmm. But I got to say, the Buffalo Bill Center of the West has got to be one of the jewels of museums, not only in the state but really in this part of the country. So we appreciate all the hard work you and your staff are doing.
Yeah, very much so.
We've got a great team here, and they have been working round the clock, whether it's been posting videos online while we were closed or getting the saddle shop ready for when we could open. We've been working real hard about it because, it's easy to slip below people's horizons. You got to work to stay above that horizon because, especially on the internet, there's so much chatter out there. So for us, it's keeping out there and keeping people aware that this great museum is in your backyard.
Yeah. And we should mention to people that Center of the West has a wonderful website, but you also have a YouTube channel where you do have some virtual tours of different aspects of the museum, too.
Yep, and we're going to be having a streaming video of the saddle shop. So instead of a screensaver, what you could just do is watch the saddle maker. It's working all day. They can work up a sweat, and you can watch them. It's a great thing.
Leave the stream up. Yeah, that'd be great. Well, we know you're a busy man. We appreciate you taking time out of your day-to-day to speak with us, and we really appreciate you being with us, Peter.
My pleasure. Come on up to Cody.
Yeah.
Yep. We will. We got to see the saddle shop.
Absolutely.
You got to come see it.
Thank you.
Well, have a wonderful day.
Thanks, everybody. We appreciate it. Take care. Be safe.
Bye-bye.
Peter Seibert, the CEO of the Center for the West. Center of the West. Yeah.
I would really, really encourage you, if you haven't been up to Cody. I felt horrible that I had not ever had the opportunity to make it up there, and this is a great time.
Well, I'd seen bits and pieces before we went up together, and always been teased because I was doing some work there for other work that I do, and I never really got to see it until you and I really got to take some time and do that. So
yeah, I took time off and said I just want to go see it, and it was not a disappointment at all.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a great place to go. Well, we will be back with more after this. This is a little thing that was done by That's Wyoming for tourism. Talks to Jesse Ellen, who is a young rancher in the Lander area, I believe.
Great.
Well, we'll let her describe it to you.
In Wyoming, a lot of people are surprised by the amount of land there is here. You may ride for 9 hours in a day without seeing a single person. My name is Jessie Allen. I'm from Lander, Wyoming. I'm the ranch manager of my family's guest ranch in the Wind River Mountains, and I was Miss Wyoming in 2014. I had a pretty unique childhood growing up. I spent about 90% of the day outside playing, working with my hands. And as I got older, I started taking on a lot more responsibilities with the ranch. I started guiding when I was about 13, and I always felt a little underestimated, and so I had to learn how to puff up my chest a little bit and earn the respect of my guests. This summer has been the first year taking on the title as the ranch manager. I want to be the one who makes things go smoothly and who's a leader to our staff and someone to provide great experiences for our guests. Eventually, I would like to do more wellness-focused trips, maybe incorporate more of my yoga teaching, just tap into some different interests for people and expand in a little bit different way. It's really exciting to be the one to introduce a lot of people to the Wind River Mountains. It's so exciting for me to turn around and watch their reactions. I kind of feel like it's similar to when you're at a wedding. A lot of people turn to look at the bride, but then they glance back at the groom to see what his reaction is. And that's how I feel. I appreciate the beautiful view in front of me, but then I always look back and I just get to relive that whole excitement. I'm most passionate about being able to share this with people, to know that people from all over the world seek out the opportunities to come and have these experiences. That's what drives me, and that's what makes me most passionate about what I do. Why am I here? This is my office. This is my playground, and I see never-ending opportunities to explore, to adventure, and I have this all at my fingertips, and it's so exciting. I love Wyoming, and I choose to be here. That's why.
What a great representative for our wonderful state, Jessie Allen.
We do choose to be here.
Yeah, we do.
It's a great state.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's so neat. That's so neat to see. Well, welcome to Wyoming Live.tv. We've been trying to do this every Wednesday. We had some other guests. One of the things I wanted to do, Lynn, was talk to some of the other folks that are beginning to open up, and I was trying to get somebody from a restaurant and a brew pub available, and also one of our faith leaders at one of the churches in Cheyenne.
We'll have them next week.
Yeah, we had some technical issues and couldn't quite get put together, but hopefully we will next week. I did read an article this morning that came in. This was part of the Wyoming Business Report, basically saying that the state may face a $1.5 billion revenue shortfall over the next 2 years. That's pretty incredible. That's hard to believe.
They were in session, a 2-day session last week, Thursday and Friday, 15th and 16th, wasn't it? Yeah, trying to figure things out. So, yeah, a lot of other things happening this summer that are being either delayed, postponed, rescheduled, or just flat out canceled. Yeah, I know everybody's sitting on the edge of their seat, probably waiting to hear about Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Yeah, that's the big deal.
That's a big deal. A big deal for Wyoming, and they said that they would probably be making a decision sometime the first week of June.
That's what I heard also yesterday. Yeah.
So that's one of those that everybody is. Can you imagine being Tom Hersig, who's the CEO, and that staff and everybody trying to figure out? I mean, it's one of the largest volunteer events. I mean, over 300 or 400 volunteers every year.
3,000 volunteers.
3,000.
3,000 people take their vacation time to do that.
Just, and trying to make that decision of how to go about this, and if it is something that gets canceled, that would be another economic impact on our state as well.
It really would.
Not only the county, but Laramie County, but also for the state, because that's lodging tax, sales tax, that all comes, fuel tax. I mean, people are buying gas and eating food and buying things.
And I'm sure that's a big part of this $1.5 billion is the tourism dollars.
I wonder, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to Peter from the museum here a little while ago, and he was talking about how the tourists are really the lifeblood of the museum, and a lot of Cody, a lot of Jackson, a lot of our border entry towns up Sheridan area even. So, we really do depend on it.
Yeah.
A lot of events still getting canceled for the year, too.
The Grand Targhee Bluegrass Festival.
And the regular music festival,
And the regular music festival. They're also, the Grand Teton Music Festival. They're also talking about rescheduling Longmire Days.
Wow. And I didn't even know they were doing Longmire Days anymore.
Well, and speaking of museums, the Nicolaisen Art Museum,
in Casper.
NicFest, they're still kind of in a postponing mode right now.
I did hear they're still trying to decide whether to do the Bear Trap Festival up on top of Casper Mountain.
No.
Is that done? They're not going to do it?
They're not going to do that.
Okay. I hadn't heard.
There's also, let's see, they said that
a lot of the rodeos have been canceled.
NicFest might be canceled, might be pushed, postponed down to about the end of July into the first part of August. So those are all, a lot of the music festivals. One that we're familiar with here down in our region is Wetfest.
Yeah.
That's...
and they're going to try to put together some drive-in type concerts. I don't know how that's going to work.
Some of them are doing that around the state. They're trying to find little venues and try to set up either. Well, you've heard them doing drive-in movies, going back to, if you grew up in an era where you had drive-in movie theaters,
right?
Just because of social distancing, so you and your family are just basically staying in your car, so you're not. Around other people.
Have they canceled the rodeos? A lot of the rodeos around the area?
College nationals, They have. And a lot of, some are doing smaller versions of their rodeos, maybe just one weekend.
Yeah.
But social distancing, less capacity, being able to take people in. It's...
Yeah.
You know, you figure people, it's like half of everything or a quarter of what you can do to get into different places. And with keeping 6 foot, I know restaurants are going to definitely suffer, you know, because you can only do about half capacity.
Yeah, we kind of went to our first restaurant in Centennial over the weekend, but we were eating outside.
We sat outside, yeah. Well,
So,
it was nice enough
it was
weather. We
beautiful,
did.
yeah.
We sat outside, but you know, they even the tables outside were, you know, at least 8, if not 10 feet apart.
Yeah,
So they had things set up. They had the inside set up as well, and wearing masks, of course. But you know, if you can only fit half the people in, that's only half of what you're making. So
yeah.
I think it's gonna be a huge impact.
It is. And it's
a huge
affecting a lot of the musicians around the state. Restaurant workers are starting to come back, but a lot of the musicians probably not as much. And we've been talking to different musicians. We don't have anyone scheduled for this week, but we've been talking to many of the musicians about how it's affecting them.
Right. Basically, they're really depending on people to go and download their music and pay for it.
Absolutely. You said that Chancey Williams' younger brothers have
they
a new
dropped a new song a week or two ago.
We'll have to see if we can get them on. They're out of the Cheyenne area.
I think Casper area.
Oh, is it Casper? I was thinking it was Cheyenne.
No,
we'll have to look it up.
But yeah, so they dropped some new music, and everybody loves them. I mean, great country music sound.
Chancey Williams did a video for a national organization about music in the USA. I've got that queued up for you. This is what he did a couple years ago. It's just a minute or two long here.
I love traveling. We go everywhere, you know, overseas or any state we play, but in the back of my mind, I know I get to come home to this. I'll live here forever. You can't skip a day being a real cowboy or a rancher. They're getting up at 5 in the morning every day and working till dark every night. So as hard as you want to work, as much money as you're going to make. I have a band called the Younger Brothers Band. We just kind of grew up together with the same background and same type of music. We just relate stuff about mountains and horses and just cowboy lifestyle. Wyoming plays a big part. All the songs in the back of my mind, I'm always just thinking about desert, mountains, plains, rolling hills. It's really pretty, like to see the mountains with the snow on them. It's something you might see on a greeting card or something, you know. There's tons of things to sightsee for sure, you know, like obviously you got to hit Yellowstone and Devil's Tower. It's a must-see place, and just driving down the road, you're going to get to see tons of wildlife. You know, you can see deer, antelope, elk. You get the west side of the state, you see some bears, some wolves, buffalo. If you're coming through Wyoming and stop at a bar, you're probably going to create some friends that night because people are really welcoming, and I always like to talk to somebody and know their story. Everybody we ever bring here that sees our ranch or any part of Wyoming is just in awe of how cool it is. You can't really explain it or put it on paper. Wyoming is just something you have to come out and experience for yourself, and it's like nowhere else.
It's Moorcroft, Wyoming. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Beautiful area. So, so they're, look up, they've got some new music, so then it sounds great, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's neat.
And they're a big group. I mean, you know, and so when they travel, I mean, you know, they depend on good sized festivals to play at. And if there's
hopefully the ranch is doing okay. That's what you kind of hope for with all of that.
Yeah. Cattle prices.
The last thing I had to
beef.
talk about today that I wanted to bring up, I got a little note reminder today. Did you remember that today is the launch of the SpaceX Elon Musk's company, the rocket going up the International Space Station.
That's right. It's supposed to go off this afternoon or later this afternoon.
The notes
2
I
o'clock our
get say
time?
2:33 Mountain Time. That's if they get off, but it's going to be 50-50 whether the weather is going to cooperate or not.
But isn't
so we'll have
that
to
always
see.
the case?
Well, especially
the weather?
in Florida. You never know what it's going to be like there. I guess.
Can they put it off?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, can
they can delay it. They'll just delay it days.
Oh, okay.
You know, sometimes I wonder. I would tend to think Florida is one of those places where the mornings would be better weather. I don't know why they want to do these launches in the afternoon. Because that's going to be
prime time TV.
Yeah, maybe so. That might be
well, and they have new spacesuits. Have you seen? I saw a picture of these new spacesuits, and
looks like something Elon Musk would
well,
design.
it looks like that, but I mean, but it also kind of reminds me of like Star Trek and some of those old movies. So it's like kind of an old thing that's coming about. You know, no more the big bubbled helmets, giant helmets and
streamlined.
Tubes coming out of them. And, you know, I mean, I remember when we visited the Space Center, Kennedy Space Center, and seeing that uniform, just tubes and attachments and big helmet.
Astronauts are Bob Benkin and Doug Hurley.
Yeah.
So we hope they are safe and do well. You can watch live. I'll see if I can put a link up on our page to watch live for anybody that wants to watch that.
If you've never been to Cape Canaveral and been out
I've never been there. You've been there.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been to Cocoa Beach. I love saying that I've actually visited Cocoa Beach because it's so cool.
You saw Genie in the Major there?
You saw Genie in the Major. No. But actually got to go out to where the launch pads are. I actually got to see a launch pad. And you can't fathom the size and monstrosity of these towers that hold these rockets. I mean, it is, you're like a little ant compared to all of it. It's so, and it also conjures up something in you, you know, I mean, the space program and you just kind of get a thrill from just standing there, not even actually seeing one take off, just the presence.
I don't think the size of this rocket is near the size of like the Saturn V's of the days of the Apollo missions.
They're a little sleeker looking.
Yeah, they're sleeker and the
astronauts will be delivered in a Tesla.
I heard. I thought that was great.
To the launch pad.
It's not bad.
It has NASA logo on it.
Well, you know, I was showing everybody Sage walked in here a little while ago, but she's since left. She's a finicky performer.
She wanted to be on video today, so
I think she did. I think she did.
She's kind of bugging me. So
well, we should probably sign off.
Right, till next week.
Till next week, we should be back. I believe we have.
We should be back.
We should be back, and we should have the mayor.
What is the old saying? If the creek don't rise and
the storm, if the
I can't remember. Now I can't remember. It was right there on the tip of my tongue.
Well, we should be back.
We will be back.
And I think we have scheduled the mayor of Gillette next week, which will be interesting.
Yeah,
so
that'll be good. Hear what's going on in Gillette.
Next few weeks, we also have the folks from Screen Door Porch, Aaron Davis and Cedar Davis, should be part of the show.
Enjoy both of their music.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that should be great. Well, good. Well, thanks, everybody, for joining us today. We will be back again next Wednesday at noon. Tell your friends about us. And, hopefully we'll have some good folks for you.
Be safe out there.
Yeah. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Hi, I'm Paul Montoya. Join us for the Wyoming Conversation. Look for us on Facebook at WyomingLive.tv for the next episode.